He's been laughed at, memed,
Rudy
blamed for
Gobert,
everything
bro.
from losses to pandemics, yet despite all this, he's one of the most impactful players of his era. Rudy Gobert isn't just underrated, he's completely disrespected.
Gobert is dominating.
There's a reason why since 2017, every team that Rudy Gobert has been on made the playoffs. He simply impacts winning to an extremely high degree. Rudy Gobert is an all-time great rim protector, as his elite position and size makes every shot attempt on him a very difficult task, which is why year in and year out players shoot significantly worse in the paint when Rudy Gobert is in the game. But that's only count the shots that are taken. Oftentimes players are too intimidated by Gobert to even look to score in the paint when he's out there, which overall wrecks offensive game plans and leaves offenses stagnant and out of rhythm. When it comes to rim deterrent, Rudy Gobert is up there with the very best in NBA history. When Rudy Gobert is on your team, then there's a very good chance that your defense will be really good. As in Rudy's 10 years as a starter, he has anchored a top 10 defense every year but one, and was a top 7 defense in 7 out of 10 years, which is remarkable, especially when you consider who's on those teams with him. For instance, in 2018, the Utah Jazz most used lineup consisted of Ricky Rubio at point guard, Donovan Mitchell at shooting guard, Joe Ingles at small forward, Derek Favors at power forward, Rudy Gobert at center. There's respectfully zero chance that defense should even be an above average level defense, yet Rudy Gobert was somehow able to propel that defense to second in the entire NBA. And not only that, they were also able to upset the OKC Thunder in 6 games, in which OKC was dominated by Rudy Gobert defensively. Russ was OKC's main source of offense. Every time he went to the rim, or anyone else went to the rim, they were met by the Stifle Tower. Westbrook shot 13 for 40, which is an insanely low number when defended by Rudy Gobert. In that series, Rudy Gobert held the Thunder to 55% at the rim, which is 8% below expected. And just watching that series, he completely wrecked their game plan. Whenever Rudy was in the game, they had no answers. I don't think there's a single defender of his generation that has the ability to make any defensive lineup look great quite like Rudy Gobert can. I'm fully convinced he could take me and 3 other people watching this video and make us an elite defense. And the on-off number shows. And it's honestly quite simple. When you have a rim protector rebounding to that degree, who's also in every single action and never take plays off, then it makes your job 10 times easier. And the ramification of you missing a rotation or getting blown by is so much more insignificant, but when that guy goes to the bench, your flaws will open up. In a similar but not so similar cases, with Rudy Gobert's defensive prowess, you can run unique schemes. Take for instance when the Utah Jazz had one of the most interesting schemes of all time against James Harden in the 2019 postseason, where they took away his option to hit his patent step back 3, so they guarded him completely on his side, removed his left hand and funneled him to the paint, in which he was met by Rudy Gobert every time. And oddly enough, this scheme worked as James Harden shot 37% from the field this series, and he shot an abysmal 38% at the rim in the last 3 games of the series. And this type of scheme is only possible when you have someone like Rudy Gobert anchoring your defense, which just shows you could run all types of unique lineups with no defensive players. You can run lineups where you want somebody to just get to the rim just because you got the Stifle Tower back there. I don't know how many defenders you could realistically do that with, because every time Rudy Gobert sat on the bench, the Rockets definitely took advantage of that. There's a narrative that Rudy Gobert is a liability in playoffs, and that couldn't be further from the truth. When in reality, throughout Gobert's prime until he got to Minnesota, the crappy defensive lineups that he played with just simply caught up to him in the Utah Jazz come playoff time. And they couldn't withstand the dominant offensive teams that they faced yearly, but make no mistake about it, Rudy Gobert in the playoffs still provided a ton of impact. In his playoff career, Rudy Gobert holds offensive players to just 55% of the rim, which is an absurd 9% below league average. And the narrative that he's a liability in space and that they abuse him in pick and roll actions is also a false narrative, as Rudy Gobert in the playoffs has defended 288 pick and rolls and has allowed opponents to shoot just 41% with a respectable .92 points per possession, which definitely doesn't sound like a liability to me. And Rudy Gobert in his playoff career has a plus 4.5 on-off, which means his team is much better in the playoffs with him on the court, despite what the narratives will say. This past series was perhaps Rudy's best showing of his career when guarding in space. The Lakers tried to put Rudy Gobert in a ton of action and it simply did not work. The Lakers shot an abysmal 39% from the field when defended by Gobert, and look at this play when guarding Luka Doncic on an island in a critical moment. Rudy keeps his feet super active and uses his intimidating length to cut off any driving angle Luka might have, to the point where Luka is left no choice but to throw up a deep, low-quality shot. And this was the story of the series for Luka Doncic, as he shot just 1 of 8 from 3 when defended by Rudy Gobert, and just 41% from the field as a whole, with 6 turnovers. That's the thing with Rudy Gobert. He often plays good defense when switched onto the perimeter, but guys will just hit tough shots on him and people will use that as a reason to dunk on him, which really doesn't make any sense. A fair critique of Rudy Gobert is his offensive game, which I can admit can be bad times due to his hands not being the greatest and due to him not having a consistent go-to move in the post, but I believe his offensive value isn't nearly as bad as people think. Throughout his prime, Rudy Gobert has been one of the better screeners and just pick and roll bigs in the entire NBA, and he has made plenty of guards such as Anthony Edwards and Mike Conley's life significantly easier. Gobert is also an elite offensive rebounder and putbacker thanks to his impressive motor, size, and positioning, as Rudy always seems to be in the right spot. He's always been one of the better lob threats and rim fitters in the NBA as well. And all these things are all forms of offenses. Am I saying Rudy's a great offensive player? No, I'm not. But am I saying that a guy who averages 14 a game for his career as a starter on the highest efficiency in NBA history while providing great vertical spacing is at least a solid offensive impact player? Yes, I definitely will, actually. Throughout his career, Rudy has unfairly been a laughingstock due to dumb and unfair narratives. People watching lowlights of him, and as Rudy Gobert says, people only talk about what happens for one possession, but never talk about what happens over the course of a game. And whether people like it or not, Rudy Gobert is the first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest defenders ever. He's a 4-time All-NBA member, a 4-time DPOY, and made the All-Defensive Team 7 times. And he is, in my opinion, the most underrated and disrespected star player in NBA history. And that concludes this video. I appreciate you guys for watching this. And as always, if you have anything that you agree with or disagree with, then comment down below and I'll be sure to respond. With that said, have a great day.
Yeah, very likely to be crossed over. Very likely to people are gonna hit some tough shots over me, and then I might get dunked on. All that stuff might happen. But let's see what happened over the course of hundreds and hundreds of possessions.